Welcome back to This Day. I want to welcome from the City of Hope Cancer Center, I want to welcome Dr. Natalie Johnson. Dr. Johnson, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Your specialties are in oncology and cancer treatment, thyroid cancer, breast cancer. So I want to kind of start off with cancer treatment. It comes with a lot of emotions and a lot of questions for people. So what are the things that the most important thing that you can do when you first sit down with someone who's just recently been diagnosed? What is that like?
Yeah, so I'm a surgical oncologist and I do surgery primarily for breast cancer, thyroid and parathyroid tumors, and melanoma. And when patients are coming to see me, it's usually after they've just gotten a phone call or with their biopsy results, or maybe don't even have their biopsy results yet, or don't have a lot of information. And so I think the time between getting that diagnosis and seeing me is sometimes the hardest part, because when you don't have any information, then it's all just kind of the fear of the unknown. So my hope in my first meeting with a patient is that they come away with knowledge and information, a plan that they feel comfortable with and confident in, and hope, realistic hope. So that's my goals in the first meeting.
And one of the things I imagine is they're jumping into a whole new world that you know about, but they don't. They probably never, they've never been diagnosed like this before. They've never gone through cancer treatment before. So it's a first time for them. So it's an overwhelming feeling, right? When they come in there and they don't know what to think.
Right. And, there's Dr. Google, and there's good things out there and bad things out there online. And it's hard because even the good stuff, cancer care is so nuanced that really a patient's treatment plan is tailored for them and their specific cancer. So even the experience that a friend or family member, say with breast cancer, that whatever treatment that they had or experience they had, it might not translate to the patient I'm seeing, or the information that they read online. It isn't possible to, find out what all these nuances, because it depends on the type of the cancer, the stage of the cancer, a number of other factors. So, my goal is to give the patients that information. I see my role as a patient educator, just to help my patients make the decisions give them the information to make the decisions that are right for them.
And I think the good news in cancer treatment these days is there are a lot of new innovations, a lot of things that you are bringing to the table that just weren't available 10, 15 years ago. What are some of the kind of innovations, the new treatments, the new plans that you can do in terms of maybe not even having to do surgeries in some cases, things like that?
Yeah, there are. It's evolving all of the time, and I couldn't even take the time to list everything, but there's advances in the areas of detection. So earlier detection, better imaging. For breast cancer, we're working on a new imaging technology that's a photoacoustic, that uses a water bath rather than compression. We're looking at new tumor localization techniques and navigation techniques to remove less breast tissue and have a better chance of getting the whole cancer out. We're doing more aesthetically pleasing surgeries. We can more often spare the woman's whole breast or the nipple if they need a mastectomy. Advances to try to preserve sensation to the chest so that they can feel the hug of a loved one. It's endless. Yeah, it's all the time. It's the exciting part of it that draws me into it.
Well, that's going to be my next question. In terms of the what you do and what you're able to do for patients, what kind of feeling do you get in terms of a sense of accomplishment or a sense of like you're really making a difference in these people's lives?
Um, I would say, to me, that depends on what the patient's either fears or goals are, because those then become my priorities. To me, long-term survival and giving them the best chance of their cancer not coming back, that's just the low bar. That's the assumed. Beyond that, it's preserving their quality of life. So, if it's a hobby or a job that requires them to continue using their arm, to do everything I can to decrease the chance of them getting a complication called lymphedema after their breast surgery. Or, if it's a patient who has back pain and shoulder pain, sometimes we can find a silver lining and do like a breast reduction and a lift at the same time as their cancer surgery. So, really it's finding out what my patients either, kind of fears or goals are, and aligning them with my own to do everything I can to achieve those.
It sounds like your part of your job as a doctor is to develop that relationship with your patient, and it's a two-way street. Need to know their needs, they understand where you're coming from and what the goals are, right?
Yeah, going into medicine, I thought I wanted to be a primary care doctor. And so as a sub specialist, I'm far from that, but I do appreciate that I have long-term relationships with my patients, sometimes 5 years or more. And um, like I said, a lot of my job is just patient education and getting to know them to make decisions together about their treatments.
Now, City of Hope isn't just cancer treatment, but it's also research. What are some of the things that you know about that are going on there? You might be involved in terms of research, in terms of what might be coming on the horizon.
So a lot. Everything
Where do I
from
start?
kind of, yeah, the clinical, application side to the science, really sciencey side. On the clinical side, we're one center who's there. We're doing nipple sparing mastectomies robotically, which results in a smaller incision that's out of view, and potentially better blood supply and better sensation to the breast. We're developing new drugs and trialing those drugs. We're looking at new treatments to combat side effects from really effective cancer therapies. We're really interested in integrative oncology and have a lot of trials and funding for that. Um, so
Now,
that's a start.
that's a good start. That's not a bad start at all. As a surgical oncologist, you not only deal with breast cancer, but you also have thyroid cancer and melanomas and those kind of things. Are there connections between those three areas that maybe some people don't realize, or are they just sometimes you could have one and just later on you might have another? Or
They are interrelated, the thyroid and breast. They're both kind of part of their glandular tissues. They're part of the endocrine system. So there is a small link where if somebody has a breast cancer, their chance of getting thyroid cancer in the future is slightly higher, and vice versa. And they tend to both affect women more often, kind of middle-aged. So by occurring more often in the same demographic, I often find a lot of cancers, if somebody's sent to me for a thyroid cancer and they haven't had a mammogram in several years, I get their mammogram. If they're sent to me for a breast cancer and I do a thyroid exam and feel a nodule, which is common and there's no screening for it, sometimes I find a thyroid cancer. So it really enables me to take kind of whole care of my patients by integrating those specialties.
what is it about City of Hope that brought you there and drew you there in terms of what they're doing in terms of treatment of cancer?
It gives me the resources to provide all the best cutting edge care for my patients and support for my patients. I think when it comes to cancer, where you get care matters. So I wanted to work at a place that has that mindset and that gives my patients access to all the latest and best treatments and is always kind of advancing the field and pushing the envelope, but with a patient-centered frame of mind.
Well, there you go. Well, Dr. Johnson, Natalie Johnson from City College, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and kind of giving us an insight on your world and the treatment people can get there. Thanks for joining us. You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.